Today I'm Michael King, and with me is Alan.
Hello.
Stephen.
Hello.
And we're just going to talk a lot of crap, basically. It's like the Glass House on the ABC without the humour.
Except they're laughing at us, not with us, you
Well,
see.
I just want to chat first up this week about, again, Tasmania is sort of to the fore of gay and lesbian rights in this country, and the Blood Bank Challenge. Have you heard about that one?
Yes. Oh, tell us.
Well, a gentleman, and I've just forgotten his name, Michael Caine, that's it. Famous international movie star, by the way. But a gentleman by the name of Michael Caine apparently went into the Red Cross Blood Bank in Tasmania and was told, according to MCV, this is where the report came from this week, that you people are a higher risk. So they wouldn't accept his blood donation.
Charming.
I like the you people tag. And now he's taken it to, I think, both the Anti-Discrimination and the Human Rights Commission.
So he should.
Well, I think so.
Yeah.
But see, there have been previous cases several years ago. I think it was about 99, something like that, both in Victoria and Western Australia. Those cases were dismissed. The difference now is, and it's been upheld, so the Red Cross have been asked to please explain, and they were only given a fortnight to do that. The difference being now is the testing procedures have changed so much. So much so that countries like Switzerland, Italy and indeed Spain don't have a ban on gays donating blood anymore because the testing procedures have improved so much.
Where did Spain get so far ahead in gay rights? I mean, you know, marriage and blood donation, I mean. When are they going to get over this business that gays equal HIV positive blood? I mean, they should be looking at relationship status, not sexuality.
Well, exactly. I mean, you only have to say, have you had unsafe sex in this last period? Then they know, well, we have to disqualify that blood, or we have to whatever. But I think there's a lot of people out there, gay people in long-term relations, or really monogamous like me, or just not getting
celibate. You're becoming a priest, dear.
Even if they lift the ban, I still can't give blood because I'm a mad cow from Britain.
Yeah, well, that's good enough reason for me too. But also, you had an article today about, what was it, in the military?
The military, yes. According to 365gay.com, it looks like the ADF are about to offer the same family benefits and injury and death compensations to same-sex couples as the opposite-sex couples are now getting.
Pardon me for being the cynic I am, but okay, they're doing that for us now, but what are they taking away from us? I mean, it was only we got the superannuation bill through as a grudge thing, so what are we about to lose?
Well, I'm always a little bit reluctant to just go around doing government bashing for the sake of government bashing. I think it's important to recognise that this is a good thing and a step in the right direction. It is also important to recognise that under the government we have now, that they did actually issue Joy a permanent licence, and that was supported by Liberal members of Parliament as well. I think where the problem is that we as a community are not good enough at getting our message to Canberra. We don't have really an organised federal lobby at that level.
Not at that level, no.
I mean, if you look at where the church groups are, they actually have offices there. They've got their people permanently on every day in Parliament, talking to politicians.
And they're sweet-talking them.
And they're sweet-talking
down the back corridors of power.
I would imagine that this was effective because it does say in the report that the Defence Gay and Lesbian Information Service looks like they've been fairly active in pushing this. So I would imagine that they've been talking to the right people.
Does Australia have one of those don't ask, don't tell policies, do you know?
No, it's out there. Since it was Keating in the ALP who actually let gays in the military, and since then it's been pretty much open slather, up until now with the benefits.
So what benefits are we specifically talking about?
Okay, the benefits are that you'll have death and injury compensation, access to housing assistance, travel and education assistance. Okay, and what they'll do is they're going to extend out a category called interdependent relationships, and that will include the same-sex partners.
It specifically says that?
Yeah, that's what it says in this report. Yeah.
Oh, well,
I haven't seen the proposed. I don't know if there's any proposed legislation being put through to Parliament yet or not.
Well, it's all a series of small steps, isn't it? Like you were saying, the government, in a sense, is we're working towards an ultimate goal, which is much like, you might remember about a year ago we did an interview with Lindsay Tanner.
Lindsay Tanner, I do.
And he was saying very much that thing. Like, for example, 10 years ago, single mothers were vilified.
Yeah.
You know, lazy, they're living off the system and all that kind of thing. You wouldn't hear that anymore, unless of course it was a lesbian couple. They still go on a bit about that. But but do you know what I mean? And the current big issue that the Liberals are using is the gay marriage and all that type of thing. But it's small incremental steps like this that will lead to full recognition, full rights.
It's only by a series of small steps we get anywhere. And it was heartening actually when we did talk to Lindsay. I remember he was quite positive that our rights would, come to fruition if we pushed for them. I think that was the big thing. But it's heartening to know that he is actually one of the Christian ALP faction, isn't he? He's really pushing for the sort of right faction in the ALP, isn't he? He's a member of them along with Rudd and all that. And it's heartening that if he is there, he might bring a voice of reason to that right-left faction, if you see what I mean.
But at the end of the day, politics is politics.
It's all about numbers and getting votes, and I think politicians do things if they think they're going to get a vote out of it. And I think actually, if the government looks back on what happened in the last election, I mean, there was a lot of this rhetoric about that the new big voting base was the Christian vote, and yet when you look at the results and the primary vote, Family First, God, it was very low. And if they hadn't done the preference deals they had, it could have been that the government would have a bigger Senate majority than they've got now. So they probably actually did themselves out of seats by running around after this group that didn't really exist.
And I think they're starting to regret their association with Family First, aren't they? Because all these family studies they do on everything, they're in sort of opposition to quite a few of their legislation.
Well, there haven't been any family impact statements released since the new parliament came in. And if you look at what Family First has stood for, basically, is everything that they've basically opposed nearly every major government legislation.
Exactly. Telstra and all that.
All major government policies going forward, Family First are against it. So why the preference deals went the way they did? I mean, I think the Christian lobby group did a fabulous job in convincing the government that they're their best friends. And when it's come to the money where your mouth is, they're not.
Well, they were very successful campaigners. You just bombard, even if you're a tiny group, if you bombard enough people with enough information,
propaganda,
the TV will pick it up, the radio will pick it up, because it's a story.
Yeah,
of course.
And they've got a lot of money to do it.
And it could be a slow news day.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what it is.
But now we're going to move on to the international front.
The international front, well.
And our international desk.
Not that fat, am I? You can't call it a desk, can you? Well, in Poland this week, this is on gay.com yesterday, the Gay Power Brigade have taken to the streets with a bit of what you could call gay terrorism in a way. They apparently planted up to a dozen fake bombs around Warsaw.
Really?
Well, a dozen fake bomb scares around Warsaw. This is in response to the Warsaw Mayor Lech Kaczynski's stance on the Gay Pride Parade earlier in the year.
Did he ban it?
He banned it, yes. And there's been a lot of anti-gay rhetoric in the country, and he has said, one of the reps of the group, the Gay Power Brigade, said, "You paralyse our life, we'll paralyse yours." And this is reported in Britain as well, in the Mail and the Guardian.
Well, of course, it would cause a huge ruckus, wouldn't it?
Well, it was like peak hour, traffic snarls, city was brought to a halt, and the mayor has offered up to 100,000 zlotys, or £17,000.
Zlotys?
Zlotys. It's not small change.
They'll soon be on the euro, don't worry.
Well, they're hoping, but going this way, they won't be.
No.
Anytime soon.
Oh, because of course they can't discriminate.
Europe is setting the benchmark on human rights on a number of levels.
So once you're a member of the EU, it all...
Yeah, and Turkey is going through this dilemma at the moment too. They've got to smarten up their act because they're going through the process. And
sorry, what did the mayor say?
The mayor, he's offered this reward for information leading to the arrests of those who have planted the fake bombs. And where are we? Kaczynski, he's of the Conservative Law and Justice Party. That's the party he represents. And he's facing Donald Tusk of the Liberal Civic Platform Party in a runoff presidential election on Sunday. So how this will go... I mean, Poland's a hardline Catholic country, so whether that will have any impact or not...
I've actually been reading a lot about the increase in anti-Semitism as well. So, I mean, once they get into the EU, they're going to have to...
Well, going this way, they won't. So but is that the way to go? Will the gay power brigade actually have an impact in a positive way, or will it just alienate them further?
Well, you alienated everyone stuck in a traffic jam that night. You did, or everyone who couldn't get the train was cancelled.
That's exactly right.
That's my view on it. I mean, it may have done a good job in getting it in the papers, and it certainly brought it to our attention. But I think
it was a few years ago when the I can't remember which gay lobby group it was, but they went and stuck all the crosses in the flower clock on St Kilda Road, and there was like outrage in the community because they took this shocking stance. They ruined a flower bed, for God's sake. At least we weren't planting. Oh, I shouldn't say we. Oops, just in the south end. I hope they police aren't watching. Still tracking us down, but that was like a mild piece of activism compared to
the way you get success is actually win over the wider community.
I know.
And if you just disrupted everyone's lives, they're going to say, well, it doesn't affect me if you have your rights or not. Yeah. Why should I worry about it? You've just about ruined my day. I don't care.
And yet you've got, I suppose, in such a repressed country, it's hard to understand the desperation that they feel too.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. You had something else from the international desk, though.
International,
quickly, by the way. Yes.
Well, there's a couple of. One international is the US chain store Walgreens has been attacked by the Illinois Family Institute because they're supporting the gay games.
Is that different from Walmart?
Yes, apparently it is. It's a chain of chemists, they're pharmacists, specialising in, but they actually have had a long association with HIV patients since the early 80s and have been very supportive of the HIV positive community. Peter Lababera of the Illinois Family Association has said, this approach is deeply flawed because homosexual acts between men are a leading factor in the spread of AIDS. By using Walgreens' good name to lend legitimacy to the gay games, you are helping to mainstream sexual behaviour that's causing gay men to die in the prime of their life. So he's turning it round as if he's being defensive of gay men, the little worm. But they were the same group that wanted the boycott against Kraft Foods and the Harris Bank, who also each gave $25,000 to the gay games. So they're always at it.
That has been Studio Q for another week. And with me were Stephen, Alan and myself, Michael.
Were you with yourself?
Yep.
Sometimes we wonder.
That's the only choice I have these days. And we'll be seeing you again shortly.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you later. On the Lavender Screen. It's been a while since we've chatted Lavender Screen stuff, isn't it, Mikey?
It has been quite a while,
It has, far too long. But we're showing you a nice little short film tonight by a local film director from, used to be from Melbourne, but now from Sydney, up there studying his little behind off at the Film, Television and Radio School. But first of all, the highlight of my viewing week.
Yes.
You know what I'm going to say, don't you?
It was fantastic.
It was indeed the 50th anniversary of Eurovision this week, and you can see the book there. Not getting
not terribly well, but
no, not terribly well.
Fantastic.
That's the book of the 50th anniversary. They had the special last night.
Yep.
Look, come on, it's a
Bucks Fizz was worth it.
Bucks Fizz is always worth it.
Oh, it was so worth it.
And the Eurovision, the Eurovision contest, it was basically made for a gay audience. Let's face it.
I think so.
ABBA coming to prominence as Waterloo in '74, Bucks Fizz, Dana International, the transgender singer from Israel.
Yes, but I didn't actually catch all of it. I raced home and I think I missed the bit where they showed you the worst of. Because you must admit, there's been some really trippy people, especially I find the Russian acts.
I never quite get those.
They
have a strange take on music, but it's all good. It's all different.
It's kind of like disco when it first came out with...
Well, the Eurovision fans are getting quite pleased about the resurgence of the multicultural identity in the songs, because it was all getting a bit poppy and what have you for a few years, and they're quite happy, from what I gather from my Eurovision fan friends in Europe, that they're rather happy that the identity of the countries are coming out more in the songs.
Yeah, because they all tended to just sing in English sometimes,
that's right.
And all very similar.
Indeed.
And well, you know what the British are like. I don't think they've won since Bucks Fizz, have they?
No, they're pretty dire. But talking of the British, they do some things really well.
Yes.
Drama, sci-fi, and look, I think you know by now, I'm a bit of a fanatic on the old sci-fi, in particular Doctor Who.
Yes.
And did you catch any of the new Doctor Who series this year?
I got that male-to-male kiss part down.
Did you? Yeah. Good old Captain Jack.
It's been fun.
Having his way with the Doctor and
he can have his
Billy.
way with me. He can time warp in here anytime he likes.
Particularly that Han Solo leather look. God. Anyway, sorry.
Let's not talk about it.
No, let's not.
You are
Next
worth
year,
fighting.
2006, be prepared for a treat. Because Captain Jack is getting his own show.
I never met
Oh,
you,
really?
Mm-hmm.
But you mean as like a completely different show? It's just him, or it's a spin-off?
It's a spin-off from Doctor Who.
Oh, okay.
The same character, and it's called Torchwood. Now, Torchwood, you may not think immediately it has a Doctor Who relevance, but think about it. Think about the spelling, look at it, and you might see what I'm getting at. It's the name of a crack investigative organisation, and it's been described by Russell T Davies, the producer and also of Queer as Folk, as a dark, clever, wild, sexy British crime, sci-fi, paranoid thriller cop show. Try saying that after a couple or three. With a sense of humour, the X-Files meets this life. So I'm sort of picturing Mulder and an Egg from this life, or possibly Warren. I thought he was a lot cuter.
Have they already started filming, or this is just like it's a project that...
It's going into production early next year, I believe.
Because so many never ever...
Oh no, this is a cert, and I think that's why he's not appearing in the second season of Doctor Who. There was a bit of interest in why that was.
Okay.
But he will be having his own show, and that's why.
Okay.
One of the writers confirmed is PJ Hammond, who wrote the Joanna Lumley sci-fi series, what was it called, Sapphire and Steel.
Oh, yes.
Remember that, with David McCallum? So he's one of the confirmed writers, so watch out for that. It'll be late next year, it'll be screening on BBC Three, and hopefully we'll pick it up here in Australia.
Definitely.
But right now, on the Lavender Screen, we're going to have a look at Transgression. It's a short film, and it says a lot in 6.5 minutes. It's directed by Dean Francis, who produced I Can't Even Think Straight, and I think it's a good look.
Look, is it 6 minutes long?
6.5 minutes.
There's a lot said, there's a lot explained.
There is.
I just couldn't believe... I watched this 3-4 times, actually, before I could turn and stop playing it, because I found so much in that 6 minutes that I had to keep playing it to grasp everything that was in there.
It does say a lot, and here it is now. Transgression, the story of Grem Lee, a Hong Kong Australian transgender woman. Here we go from Dean Francis, Transgression, and we'll see you next time on Studio Q. Take care.
Take care.
My name is Grem. I'm 19. My parents immigrated from Hong Kong when I was 7 years old. I'm studying arts law at Sydney University on a scholarship.
I am able to enforce whatever rights my late husband had, because I'm his...
When I was growing up, I had a body problem. I always felt different to other kids when I was growing up. I got on well with the other girls. It felt natural. I always used to hate it when they lumped me in with the boys. I realised that the outside world could not see that I was female. I questioned it, but eventually I began to think something was wrong with me, not them. Biologically, my body was male. It wasn't something that came up like every 2 months. It was something that I lived with every day. When I was in year 4, my parents wanted to buy me a present. I asked for a remote control car, even though it was quite unnatural for me. That was a moment I remember for the first time, feeling compelled to adopt gender practices of males. I think I went to high school, it got worse because there are all these older males and I feel really threatened by them. That's possibly what I have to act out in future. They're just so tall and just physically very threatening. Some of the guys in class would just keep on teasing you every day. Every time I go into the class, they would use a really high voice to address me, to imitate me, and to ridicule me. They would say, "Oh, don't be such a girl." Even a teacher said to me, "Don't be such a girl." Am I such a freak? Maybe I am. Every day I came back from school, I'd just close the door and just sometimes feel really angry and just slam the uniform into the wall, just going, "What the fuck is going on?" Half an hour later, when I get changed and go downstairs to get something to eat, I seem very normal. I seemed happy in puberty to my family because I seemed very stable. I wasn't rebellious. I was angry, but I didn't have issues on the surface. It all happened behind closed doors within me. Year 10, I wrote this suicide note. That was to explain how I felt about myself, the family, and all the predicaments. In case that I committed suicide one day, there would be an explanation for people who found that letter in my room. And to tell them why I did such a thing, instead of just mysteriously leaving the world. Yeah. It wasn't until 2001 when I found out what transgenderism is. Like previously, you see people who are called transsexual or whatever. I didn't know that I was actually related to them somehow. And I found out in year 11. I thought, oh, this is good shit, man. This is my story. I think I've been really blessed and very lucky to be able to transition so early. After going through all this, it just makes you a better person, makes you more understanding, more accepting of other people, and makes you stronger as a person.
I'm Gabrielle, or a lot of my friends call me Gabby. 40 years of age. I'm approximately 10 months into transitioning from male to female.
My name is Jay, I'm 23. I started transitioning, taking hormones about 2 years ago.
Very good about myself at this stage.
I'm Phil Azell.
It's been effects of hormones.
I'm 75 years old.
Hi, my name's Ben. I'm 30, but I feel about 15.
The way I probably should have always felt throughout my life.
I think it would be
I have a
relieving.
degree in English and drama and a background in theatre.
I've learned to live with it, but I'm afraid a lot of people don't understand it, can't understand it, or don't want to understand it.
Mm.